No, it was funny because I think almost all of the students, we were all taking glances at each other. We're all just like, what is he talking about? And Dr. Lassiter started getting pretty, like, he was disagreeing as well.
Is that Eric?
Yeah, Eric.
Well, he knows what he wants.
Yeah.
This fella came in and he didn't know what it was all about.
Yeah, we all, I think it was pretty much true for all the students. We were all just like, what is he talking about? Yeah.
Honestly, when I noticed he was talking about things that had nothing to do with what we were doing, I quit listening to him. You know, because basically I've learned that I get confused if people start talking about things that have nothing to do with what's going on, so I just quit listening and okay,
that's exactly what I do.
Good,
no, that's what I do. But it's not my fault.
But
what
I got out of him, what I forced it to mean in my head was that some people, like, if somebody's telling a myth or something, it's important to know if it's a myth or if it's fact, because there's different meaning behind things.
Well, you know, if you haven't experienced the thing, you really don't know. You're not sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So then you're going to use your imagination.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, but this young lady being black and my husband and I, we've been through some things.
Yeah.
And now she may be able to, if she's experienced it, she knows how she feels, she knows how we feel. But I just couldn't understand him. Well, I could understand him because he hasn't been through what we've been through.
Yeah.
Right.
But see, that's what I mean. I understand if it's for a myth, but obviously we're not collecting myth. We're not talking about sun chariots and people running through the skies or anything like that. We're talking about anyway.
Getting some experience. But I know you talked last night or yesterday with some girls, and we're here to talk about making a living, which in the section of Middletown that we explored was basically how the people make a living,
as far as
whether
working.
it be business owners, people who work in the factory, teachers, all sorts of things. So we just wanted to explore basically what you guys think are major issues or topics
that we could
points
touch base on as far as when we
making
speak with
a
other
living.
people.
Yeah.
And when we say making a living, just as far as how do they get their income to raise their family and to make a living. And we know that you guys own the barbershop, correct? You own a barbershop and a beauty salon? Are you still working?
I work one day. My husband doesn't because he's sickly, so he's not working. I just work one day, and we retired in '92, and we started in '54.
Wow. That means a lot to us. That's a little kids.
That's good. Now, what are these other girls? What are they wanting to know? I thought they were the ones that was making a living.
They're doing making a home.
Making a home.
Oh,
They're doing like child rearing and how you kind of live in a home, that type of thing.
Do you have children?
Yeah, I have two.
Okay.
I have a boy. He's a barber, part-time barber. And my daughter, she graduated from my PUI in Indianapolis, and she works at the post office.
Okay.
And she has 5 children,
wow.
and my son has 3, but he's been married before, and she had 3, his wife.
So who runs the beauty salon now?
Well, I have a couple of women that work there.
What is it called? The name of it?
Rhinehart's.
Rhinehart?
That's our name. Rhinehart's Barber and Beauty.
Where is it?
It's on Highland Avenue, 1318 East Highland.
Okay.
It's right down from the church. We're in the 1300 block. The church is in the 1500 block.
Okay.
And that's in Whiteley.
Okay.
Would you mind if we came and sat there? Because I mean, I know I want to go to the barbershop. Because I know that when people come in, a lot of time, when they're getting their hair done and
His
stuff.
hours are irregular because he comes in he takes his son to school. He comes in 8:30, I think, and then he has to go and pick up his kid at 11. And he doesn't come back until about 3:30 or 4.
So mainly in the evening?
That's on certain days too. He doesn't work on Mondays and Wednesdays. And
he's got it all.
He doesn't work like we worked.
Right.
And when I say we worked,
45 years.
Our hours from 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and we were and we closed on Wednesdays. We started out like that.
So you're open Monday, Tuesday, or every day of the week?
Every day with exception of Wednesday.
Okay.
Even on Sundays?
Oh, no.
Oh,
Not
okay.
Sundays.
Sundays and Wednesdays. So.
Because now I know a lot of them. Well, I know like
In the city,
They stay
but not too
on
many
Sundays.
here in Muncie.
like oh, I'm sorry. In Indianapolis, like now a lot of the trend is where they're closed on Sunday, Monday, rather than on Wednesday.
Oh,
how you guys
Sunday
will
and
close?
Monday.
Yeah, I know I can't get my hair done on Mondays.
So you have 2 days.
I have to wait.
Well,
So.
the ones in beauty shop, they don't work on Mondays either.
Right.
And so that's the reason I work on a Monday by myself.
Okay.
Why be closed on Wednesday?
Because that was in the middle of the week, and if you I worked Monday and Tuesday, you're sort of tired, and I thought Wednesday would be a good day, and it cut the week, in which
A nice break.
We could have a harder time on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
busy days on Friday and Saturday.
Busy days, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Because
A lot of them are going out.
Muncie, people got their paychecks on a Friday.
You want me to turn that heat down?
Is it too warm in here?
I'm fine. Are you hot? Are you too hot?
I can just hear the furnace running.
You know,
This is nice. My apartment, cold. Very cold. It's like 61 degrees in my apartment.
oh, you girls that don't live on the dorm, you live in the dorm?
I live in a dorm.
No.
I don't. I live in a house now. I lived in a dorm for 2 years.
I live in a dorm.
You live in a dorm?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. You said he goes and opens up the shop. Is that your son? Or?
That's my son.
Oh, he's running it now?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
okay.
works, his hours are not like ours. That's the reason I said his is part-time.
What, I'm sorry, what day do you go in?
On a Monday.
On a Monday?
Yeah, that's what. Except this past Monday you didn't go because you went to Schaefer Chapel, so you're working on Friday.
Well, I scattered.
Oh.
You know, my customers that I was to do on a Monday, I scheduled them this coming week on a Tuesday, and then I'll do one on this coming Saturday. I don't usually do that, but I want to participate as much as I can.
Right.
That's great.
Are your customers people that you've done their hair for a while?
Oh, yes, and I tell you the reason why I went back. I had a customer that said, Delores says, I'm losing my hair. He said, will you come, go back in the shop and check it for me? The very woman, in fact, it's Hurley Goodall's wife.
Oh, yeah.
She was my good customer, and she still is. She said, will you check my hair for me? And I said, yes. And she was the reason for going back after retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a few customers, so I'm just...
So are they pretty much your regulars on Monday? You come in and take care of? They all know to come in.
I go by appointment.
Gotcha. But they all know that the people who've had you for a really long time always come in on Mondays?
Oh, yeah, that day only, because that's the day, that I work.
Cool. Does your son work on Monday as well?
I beg your pardon?
Is your son there on Monday
No,
as well?
uh-uh.
Oh, okay.
He just work on Mondays, unless maybe somebody might call him or something like that, but he usually
okay.
doesn't work on Mondays.
Got it.
Mondays and Wednesdays.
Wednesday's
doesn't work.
appointment day only.
Mm.
Supposed to be.
What other businesses besides, like, what types of businesses, I guess I'm trying to say, are probably most successful in Muncie as far as being black-owned or...
Barbecue, QL, heard of it, QL, Stevens Barbecue.
It's, what is it called? Q House?
Barbecue.
Q House Barbecue.
I have, excuse me, but I have a write-up on him, too, that the Muncie Star wrote in 1990 on him and us. We had a choice of living, and they wrote an article. And I have it in there if you want to take a look at it.
Really? That'd be great.
So, and I know funeral homes, like Mr. Faulkner.
Yeah,
he
Faulkner.
owns-
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other type of businesses that
Just
are
the
black
funeral
owned?
homes that's black owned. There's several barbershops here in Muncie and beauty shops.
Used to have a dentist,
Mm-hmm.
but he died, and a couple doctors.
Aren't there 3 black doctors? I thought
Now,
somebody,
Dinwiddie
Mr.
and
Faulkner said that.
Westmoreland, and Dinwiddie, Westmoreland, and who else?
Mm-hmm.
Then there was Charles Sanders. He's arthritis doctor.
Right.
He left and went to Fort Wayne.
But these doctors aren't from Muncie. They came
No.
from outside to work.
Right.
Chuck Saunders was from us. One was
But he's the one that left and went to Fort Wayne.
Mhm.
But he was from Muncie.
Yeah, he graduated with my daughter from high school.
So a lot of people like as far as black students go, do they usually graduate and leave Muncie then?
Yes.
None of them stay and.
How do you think that affects the community? I mean, with a lot of the youth leaving.
Well, I tell you, for a person to spend 4 years going to college, and you're not able to stay in your hometown or where you went to college, and not be able to get a good job, it doesn't show the community anything. You know, the younger people.
Mm-hmm.
When you have to go so far, you might not want to go. Leave your parents, the place that you know well.
Right.
And when you start out from a place that you don't know anyone, it's hard. That's sort of a struggle. That's a step again. That's working against you.
Mm-hmm.
Unless someone has got a job for you waiting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when my sister graduated from Ball State, probably in 1925, about 1950, I think it was, something like that, she couldn't get a job here in Muncie. She went to Kansas. She taught for a couple of years out in Kansas. And then she came back to Muncie. Things weren't opened up for black teachers.
Really?
I think Mrs. Finley was the first, wasn't she?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Mrs.
Faulkner, Mrs. Faulkner,
Doris Faulkner.
and then your sister, I think.
Are there many black teachers now? And I don't know anything about the school system.
Probably is. Quite good.
Well, we had a black superintendent, Sam Abrams, not about a couple of years ago.
He's no longer superintendent, though.
No.
Oh, right.
He retired.
When did he retire? When was that?
I really couldn't tell you what year. Maybe about 3 years ago.
He went to
Yeah,
Michigan,
must have
and
been-
then now he's
Doesn't
back
matter.
here, though.
Gotcha. How old are your grandchildren?
There's one there that she's going to Purdue. This is her 3rd year. She's taking up engineering. And this is one that graduated in A&M down in Florida.
That's where I wanted to go to school so bad. FAMU.
And there's the boy. I got a grandson. He's in Earlham. This is his 4th year.
Okay.
That's him right there in the middle there.
Okay.
Football player.
Football player.
What does he play?
Football.
What position?
Guard, I think, somewhere.
Gotcha.
I don't know too much about
They confuse
sports.
me too. But do you think that they'll stay? Do you think they'll come back to Muncie, or?
I really don't want him to. I want him to go someplace like Indianapolis where there's more going on for blacks.
Gotcha.
It was, I'm sorry, Indianapolis, matter of fact, was voted number 3 as in what cities are best to raise a black family in. Indianapolis was number 3. It was above, say, Atlanta, Boston. Houston was number 1, I believe.
Boston's up there. I wouldn't think that Boston.
It was like number 17 or something, but I'm just saying, like, these larger cities, Indianapolis was ranked 3 because of the opportunity for black people as far as economy goes. Mm-hmm.
My daughter, that's where she lives, in Indianapolis. And she had a couple years out here at Ball State and got married, and I cut off everything. School, took her car away from her, and because she ran off and got married. But it only lasted 6 months. She didn't have any children, and she tried to get along and stay married, but it didn't work out. So she went to Indianapolis and finished at IUPUI and got a job.
Where did she get a degree in again? I'm sorry.
Business administration.
Business administration. Yeah, because you told me that at Schaefer Chapel. I forgot. Like, as far as in Muncie, I'm not real familiar with the community yet, but are there a lot of single-family homes in which, like, I know my mom, she's a single parent, she's a single mother, and she had to work to make the income for 3 kids. Is that, like, common here?
Loads of them.
Would you say it's more common now than it was, say, 50 years ago?
My day. Yes. What I see the black girls doing now is having babies and getting on welfare quite a bit. There's no future. and then they're getting his help. And it seems to me like that makes them not ambitious.
Because they don't need to be, because they're getting help, maybe?
Some of them. Now, I'm not saying all of them's doing this.
Right.
Because some of them will go on and maybe get more education, to do better. And then some maybe be fortunate enough to get into a factory. But not very many.
So to get into a factory would be a fortunate
Would be
opportunity?
unfortunate?
Would be fortunate?
Yes, because that's about the only money making here is the factory job. All these other jobs pay minimum wage.
General Motors and battery factories.
Mm-hmm.
That's where my dad, he's from Anderson. And when he got out,
General Motors.
yeah, he works for GM. Now he's on the verge of retirement.
Yeah, and then you get good benefits.
So what would you say that the opportunities are for, like, black college-age kids in Muncie?
For college kids or
Yeah.
the ones that don't go to school?
Or either or.
Just at that age?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd
for
say
like 20-year-old kids coming out of high school, what sort of opportunities do they have to, like, work as a career-wise in Muncie?
Would it be the factory for
If they
that
were
too?
hired. But you have to know somebody
Really?
nowadays to get into a factory.
That's true.
Because you used to work in the foundry, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you said? Back in those days, it was pretty easy to get hired.
Oh, no.
No, it was
You
hard.
had to know somebody.
Had to know
My
somebody.
dad was a worker there, so that's the reason I got in.
Really? Okay.
16 and a half years of age, I was still in high school.
Do you have to know somebody because of being black, or is it just that so many people want jobs there in general that it's really hard to get a job there?
Well,
I think it's hard because you're black. Because I tell you, they only have certain jobs for blacks. And in his day, it was just a broom,
yeah,
janitor.
working in the quarter room. In the foundry.
Well, because you knew your dad worked there.
Cleaning quarters.
But when we got married in '48, we went to Connersville. That's his hometown. And only you got a job.
Rex manufacturing.
Yeah, they were making refrigerators. The white people, the white men, and he was a janitor.
They was making $150 a week, and I was making $50.
Yeah.
Really?
And so there wasn't no future. I didn't think. So we took a test at what was the Army base there, Fort Harrison in Indianapolis, and we passed. And we traveled. That was 50 miles from his hometown. We traveled 100 miles a day. We had riders. So we worked there for 6 months. The winter was sliding back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So then we decided. Then he was a barber by trade. Then we decided to go to Lansing, Michigan.
Really?
And I had I had one child. We both had one child. And he got a job at Oldsmobile plant and barbering on the side. But he got laid off.
So we headed out for California.
And stayed a winter
Stayed all winter.
there.
That
That
was too far away from home.
That was in '53. So we came back. And in '54, my dad went around and asked different people that had shops, barber shops, if he could get a job. And they didn't, they made excuses,
Couldn't rent a place. So he
built
a place.
him a barber shop.
Oh, so your dad built. Okay. Basically, because it was too hard to get in a line of work that way. I mean,
There wasn't that many shops here.
Okay.
A black shop. See, you got to remember that black people went to black shops to get their hair cut,
Right.
shampooed, and the reason there, I think, mostly, white people weren't trained to cut black people's hair.
Right.
So, that was the reason why, if my dad hadn't built the shop, probably we would have had to do something different. But my father was a mechanic.
Really?
See,
Okay.
so I've always known business.
He had his own business?
When I was a little girl, 6 and 7, here's a picture of me when I was 12, and this is my dad.
Oh.
He was in the service. And this is a picture of me at 12. And you see how poor we was? This is a dress. I remember this dress. The collar was dingy. And I turned it inside and had a pin. This is a safety pin right here to pin it. And this dress was given to me by somebody else. My hair was cut short because I didn't like to comb my hair, and so my dad cut it off.
Your father was in the Navy?
Yeah, 2 times. World War II.
About 3 times he was in it.
Well, he was in the Korean War in 1950. And what was the 3rd time?
I don't know, but he went back in the 3rd time.
Did he?
When one of the boys went in.
Well, that was in 50.
50 was Korea.
Korean War, and he went in 40. When the war started in 41 or 42,
Yeah.
well, he went in then.
You got to remember, back in those days, mostly black people had the second-rate jobs because all of them were poor. Lots of them didn't have their cars and.
Well, I tell you, my dad was a Mexican, and he got in as a motor mech because he was a mechanic. He was 3rd-class petty officer when in the Navy. And a lot of people thought, well, how could he get in service because he had so many kids? See, I'm the oldest of 15 kids.
Wow.
But he had a trade.
He had a trade, mechanic.
The Navy wanted it.
That was his occupation, trade, a mechanic.
My best friend.
Motor mech keep those ships going.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend, she's in the Navy.
I had a sister in the Navy too.
She's in Florida right now. She's about to go to Maine for this crazy training where they're allowed to break 2 bones. I don't know what that is. But do you think a lot of people, and she joined the Navy because she didn't want to run in order to go to school because she would get a scholarship running track.
Mm-hmm.
Do a lot of people like go into the military here maybe because of, I wouldn't say the lack of opportunity maybe, if I can word it that way?
I would say, if they're not able to get a good job that they feel like,
Not too many girls.
not too many girls, no.
Right.
But boys, if they're not able to
They go into service.
go further their education through the service,
Mm-hmm.
that's the blacks that's wanting to do more.
Right.
See, that'll take the service.
Are there many people who join the military as a career, or
Yeah.
do most of the people
You
who?
got some nephews that
well, my sister's, she got 6 boys.
6
Wow.
months.
Okay, one of them is an engineer, and he married an engineer, and they're living in Detroit, and they have good jobs. I got a nephew that he just made first lieutenant, second lieutenant.
I don't know. I thought they said captain. I don't know if he made it or
No,
not.
it's some kind of a lieutenant before
Well,
you get to a captain.
Well,
And he
second
had a
lieutenant.
couple of years at Ball State, and he got married. Okay, he was stationed down in Florida, and his wife was going to Ball State. Well, he sent her back here to stay with his mother, and she got her degree from Ball State. He stayed where he was at, and through the service, he's got a degree in being a registered nurse.
Oh, wow.
So he's the one that is,
They
and
just
he's
moved
still
up.
in service.
They just moved up from Florida. They moved to Fort Wayne.
Yeah, they're in Fort Wayne now. Fort Wayne. Or Lansing, Michigan.
Or in Lansing. I haven't seen them
Yeah.
before.
Lansing, Michigan, or Fort Wayne, one of the two. And he's still in service.
I had a question. Now, you were talking earlier about you had your barber shop built, or was it you or your father?
No, my father-
Your father had it built.
Father-in-law.
I rented it.
As far as getting private businesses started, is that harder? Because you were mentioning about the loan for the house. Is it hard nowadays? Still, like maybe to get a loan to start
It's
your
easier
business?
nowadays. than it
If
is.
you have the money. When we started out, even if we had the money, it was hard. My daddy built a shop on the corner. It's remodeled now. It's still on the corner, but it's a restaurant in it now. When he first started out, I think he went down to the bank and asked for $150, didn't he?
You got to get air conditioning. They wouldn't let me have it.
Okay, and the building that we're in now, they were selling that house for about $3,500, and we weren't able to get a loan on it through the bank. But because the woman next across the street worked for the president of the bank, that was the way that we got that loan.
She introduced me to the president of the bank.
See, if you didn't, he wasn't originally from here.
Okay.
But in '69, when we wanted to buy this house, there was another house over on the other street that we wanted to buy. That's when we had to have Jerry Maynard. Did you remember reading that in Hurley Goodall's book about Jerry Maynard? He was the human rights director. We had to get him to go down to the mutual home and talk to the president of the bank because they took a week to find out about our credit. And when they did that, the man got cold feet because of the neighborhood was talking about him, that he sold the house. And we had a down payment on a house, didn't we? Didn't we give a down payment?
That's on Dice Acres.
Yeah, on Dice Acres. That's another section when we wanted to buy.
Yeah, but this guy, he told us that he missed his buy in California, so he just gave him my money back. This one over here, we didn't put the money down for this one. We wanted it, but Parson bought it back.
Yeah, he heard
So we didn't
the
get
blacks
this.
wanted to buy it, so he bought it back.
Really?
So this house, we got it through the newspaper. They couldn't move the only thing that they did do that I wasn't too sure about later on. The man told in the paper how much down payment he wanted, and take over the payment. He wanted $6,500 down. This was in the paper now. Black or white could have gotten that. And take over the payment, which was $18,000. And it was in the loan on a bank. And so we went there. Instead of them giving us the same percentage that he had, if you're going to assume somebody's loan, don't you think that you'd get the same amount of the same amount of money and the interest rate?
Yeah.
Or they went up on the interest rate?
And I think it went from 6
6 1/4 to 7 once.
Yeah. So what I did, I just got busy and worked harder and paid it off.
Wow.
How new was this house when?
1 year old
Oh,
in '69. He was 1 year old.
so he really hadn't paid much on the house
No,
before
he
you
had,
took over the payments.
well, these houses out here only cost at that time, what, 25,000, 25, 30,000. Now they're 3 times that much
yeah,
in 30 years.
yeah.
Only thing, he didn't have that fireplace there.
Right.
They had blueprints for it, but we put that in.
Didn't have air conditioning, didn't have a fireplace, didn't have ceramic towel around the sinks and all.
Well, a few things that we
Different
found
things
since
we
we
had to do in 30 years.
Well, everybody does. When you buy a house from somebody else, you always put your own little touch
But
into
most
it.
of them, this man, Mr. Hensley over here, sold his for about 75,000.
Really?
Shores, newspaper man, he sold his over there. I don't know, they won 100 and some thousand, didn't it?
They wanted to, close to it. I don't think they got that, but
You can't tell what they get, what they ask and what they get. You never know.
Whenever we like for our project, we're gonna like speak with other people in the community. Like, could you suggest like any issues maybe that we should touch upon being
Yes.
from Muncie?
okay, I've been thinking about this.
That's
Right.
great. That's really one of issues of about
'Cause
looking for.
I just want to know. I'm not from this community, so I don't know what is important, and we're trying to get your community story heard. So I was just asking so that we can make sure that we ask the right questions and get the
I
right
don't-
stories.
I don't know if I can get this information for you or not, but since this is done for balls, I know a girl. I was raised with a girl that was adopted to a family, and he was the chauffeur, and she was the cook at E.B. Ball's residence.
Oh, really?
And her mother and father adopted this girl. Her name was Rosemary, and her name is Rosemary Edwards now. She doesn't live here. She lives over in Marion. But I used to go to the Balls residence where they had, what do you call that? They got it that right across from the fairground now.
Interesting.
Is that it? Ministers?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ministers to
Okay,
Cultural Center.
It's still standing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in that house, they lived above the garage.
Where'd you go running again?
Mhm.
And I used to go there as a kid, walk, because I lived in White Lake. And I used to go through that park and go to that mansion there. And we'd get together like on a Sunday and go. They take me to church. That was my outside activity of churches, going to church.
Mhm.
Her mother used to give me her clothing. And
Yeah,
Cool.
Okay.
I figured. I
but
figured when the
to
culture
my
was there.
estimation, now this may not, you may not be interested, but to my estimation, that would be that was domestic work.
Mm-hmm.
And you could get the outlook of what they had to go through with,
Mhm.
if you want it.
Mm-hmm.
My sister and her husband.
I'll have to
were out
call and find out for sure, to make sure that she's willing to talk.
here the other night.
She might not be able, she might not want to.
Right.
And but she lives in Marion. But if I could get her to come to my home, where you could meet her, or else you wouldn't want to go 50 miles with you.
We could, but
Yeah.
we could have her come in, but we could go.
Marion is 40 miles from here. Marion, Indiana.
Mhm.
That's where she lives.
What other?
What were you gonna say about your sister?
Well, they were out here the other night. They're both retired school teachers.
And she was telling about the bathtub episode.
Oh yeah, that's what they said. It's crazy. What about current issues that go
What?
on Muncie now?
What?
Current issues as far as employment goes. Are there any certain? I don't know what goes on in employment. Is there still?
Well, now there's one or two working in the mall. You see them in the grocery stores
Mhm.
and Kmart. Young people.
So it's a lot.
It's a little better.
So the young people are in the retail jobs. What about the older generation that are providing for their families? Are they working the factories and
Well, they
teaching?
worked in the factories. In
They have to work in
41,
the factories.
Chevrolet opened up the door for women. Balls before that.
They couldn't make enough money in these small jobs like McDonald's and all that to raise a family.
But look at the factories that's left. Westinghouse, Ball Brothers. What other?
So the majority of the jobs are in the factories
Well,
here?
that's
So
where
good
you-
paying job.
That's where you
Right.
make the money.
Yeah.
Really?
So that's what parents of young children do right now. Is work in the factories.
I'd say the majority, yes.
I'm
So
sorry,
we
I don't mean to interrupt. I actually have to go meet up with Janelle.
Mhm.
So I actually have to pardon myself. But I was curious, maybe not this Monday since it's Martin Luther King Day, but perhaps the following Monday, would it be okay if I came down to your barber shop
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Following Monday. Yeah, I should be there. Mm-hmm.
Not,
What-
this, not this Monday.
Yeah, not this Monday, but the next one.
Yeah, and I open up at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Uh-huh.
Excellent. Would it be okay if I came by and maybe looked around I don't want to interrupt anything or anything
No,
like that, but take photographs of you you working and stuff?
Okay, yeah, it'll be all right.
Would that be?
Would you guys want to head down there again on Monday?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
On Nick.
We'll investigate that. Maybe we could come down and see your shop
Well-
and talk to you about that too.
Do you, oh yeah, okay. And then okay, so on Mondays it's you in there doing hair, and then on Tuesdays it's your son cutting hair.
At those certain hours. Now, you can get him
In the
maybe
evening?
around about 3:30 or 4 on a Tuesday,
Mm-hmm.
or else maybe at 8:45 or 9. But he leaves around about 10:30 because he has to pick up his grandson at school.
Oh, we have class till 5. Is he in there after 5?
Let's see, on Tuesday, and
Or on Wednesdays?
he closes up at 5 on Thursday. You might catch him on a Friday.
Oh, okay.
We could do it Friday.
Where should I put this?
Oh, you don't have to. Leave it right there.
You don't have to get up.
Just leave it
Would you like me to
Leave
put
it
it
set
in the
there.
kitchen?
You want to?
I don't mean to interrupt.
Want a piece of apple pie?
Oh, I'll be okay. But thank you so much.
Oh, well, you. Oh, I thought maybe you would be hungry. You're not hungry.
No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I was just.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
I'm really sorry.
So how did you become a barber by trade? What did
Well, I went into the, I lived in Connersville, and there's 3
Yeah.
different jobs.
Wow.
You get a job sweeping the streets, garbage truck.
It's in the front row.
Oh, okay.
And after
I don't want to start from
I decided to go into the service.
People to be.
And we never had any place to get a haircut. The neighbor women, neighbors cut her hair. Some of the boys' dad we knew would cut her hair. And so I said, well, I'm going to go to barber school. So I came on back from the service in 1946 or 7. I went on to Indianapolis to poor old barber
Pardon me
house.
if I'm ignorant about something.
The government paid for my tuition, for my books, tools. Give me $65 a month.
My dad's
I lived there at the White Senate Avenue. And
my dad grew up in Hamtramck.
that's why I wanted to be a barber.
Like,
So
well,
I go back to
they
college
moved
and
from
work.
Poland
I went
to
back there and
Hamtramck,
worked for
and
a
then
couple of
to
years.
Detroit, because Detroit kind of surrounds Hamtramck.
But I got
So
my apprenticeship over in Muncie.
I'm from Southern Ohio.
I got married over here. I got married in Connersville. I got married. She's
About
from
an hour and a
Muncie.
half away from Cincinnati.
And
It's a
then,
small town called Waverly.
The reason I met her was to come over, brought my sister to Ball State Teachers College in 45 before I went into service, and I met her.
Not that you associate with them or anything,
Looked
but
at
just
each
the
other when I
idea.
finished service.
If you
Come back and got married.
Do you miss cutting hair?
Yeah,
Do you miss cutting hair?
Well, I did at first. See, I cut for about 45 years.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had to have a pacemaker in
I
1900.
lived in a small town, and then when I was 13, moved to
I had to have a
Columbus,
pacemaker.
Ohio.
Oh, and then.
In a
Because my
small
heart would
town,
keep
there
on
was only
stopping.
one
Mhm.
I don't
family
sleep, it would
of
stop.
That
blacks
happened.
and
My
they
cousin.
were
So I had to have a pacemaker,
looked
and
down
then
upon so
I've been
much,
in the
you know,
hospital
and my
several
parents
different
always
times.
preached to me, you know,
different things. So they
There's
say,
no
well, you
difference,
fix
you
up
know,
one
don't-
thing and mess up
don't
something else.
treat them any
Yeah.
different.
So I
It's
just,
not a big
they
deal.
told
You
me,
know,
they said,
so
well, you won't
I
be able to
would see
walk
people treating them
if
like
you
that.
keep on standing behind your
Wow,
chair.
what's-
Your legs
it's
are
a
going
big
to
deal, you know. And,
Quit. I did.
but
Oh, yeah, I
then
miss it.
Columbus, and
Right.
so I had more exposure.
Is it? I mean, of course, I don't go and sit in barbershops, but
Many
is it like the movie? Have you seen the movie Barbershop?
Yeah, yeah, we saw it.
Is it similar? I mean,
It's sort of comical, wasn't it?
yes. And I wasn't sure if it was just like stereotypical or is it really like that? Because I know, like when I
Some
go
of them
to
are. Some of them are very quiet and everything. Some of them carry on like
Yeah.
in the barbershop.
yeah, my brother, when I have to pick him up, sometimes you go in there and they're just acting crazy.
Oh yeah.
But I guess it's
See, lots of guys that just are regular visitors to the barbershop just to go to outing. Some
Mhm.
old men, you know, nothing to do. They go there.
Good to hang out.
they catch up on a lot of like news and stuff in the barbershops as far as what's
Lots
going
of
on.
news.
That's why.
Yeah. Lots of gossip.
Yes.
The preachers would call it gossip.
Uh-huh.
Prisons have their own writers, but
Yeah.
he just, I don't know. Could I have some more water? I'm not leaving or anything.
Should I stop
But
this?
you know, it's in barbering. Now, I barber here.
Okay, you know how to
Barber
get
in
out.
Muncie, Michigan. I barber in Los Angeles, California.
That's okay.
I just go over
And,
and then right, and it'll take me out past the airport.
It's
Go that
all
way
in
down and to the end.
all in
and then
it's
make a right.
all in
And
the
then out past the airport.
what you want to do.
Straight on out.
Some of these barbers
Yeah, okay.
are lazy. They don't keep their doors open. You can't catch them to get a haircut. Same with me, I operate the same way. But I stayed in there.
Mhm.
And so, and then after all, there wasn't but one other barber shop in Whitey besides me. And I was only full time. He worked part time.
Uh-huh.
And for 10 years, one of the other barbers got sick 20 years ago. He's still
You
out.
can always start
He's
it
still
somewhere,
sick.
but you always
Oh,
end
really?
up in the
There's 10 years I worked
for some reason.
by myself.
That
Uh-huh.
always happens
I
to me.
could go. I had all the customers I needed, you know.
Right.
And then I was fast enough to work them out. See, some guys that close the door, they're not gonna work hard. So
Mhm.
I had my day.
Did you have to? This is just kind of a funny question, but you know how certain styles come and go, like certain haircut styles, like
Yeah.
when they were getting the
Go in
line
a
and the
cycle.
designs.
They go in a cycle. The Caesars, that was a quote artist we had here in Indiana, in Indianapolis now, and guys come from New York called them the Caesars. There's a line across the front and part and all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How do you decide these hairstyles?
They see it on TV, or they see it in magazines.
And they sort of go after these here professional ball players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as
Now, in I went to school in 58. Right. Daddy got killed in 57, so it was 58 when I started school.
10 years.
And I didn't work for 10 years. And the style then was short haircuts.
right.
And I used to do it cheaper. See, I'm a barber. I'm a licensed barber. But I have this beauty shop.
Right.
So I shifted when my son got out of the Army.
Did you have to go back to school and like learn how to do that, or you just knew? Like whenever certain styles would come in, did you have to go back to school to learn how to do
take
that?
refresher courses, or they have seminars.
No,
You've been around Georgia, and they have it's like a circus. Peachtree Plaza. You've been around Georgia?
Yeah.
Peachtree Plaza.
Yep.
And they have a big place down there where they have
Did they have my
seminars.
time? That's good.
Hair shows, music,
Okay.
and everything. It's just
I've been to one of my beautician. Her name's Miss Cupid. I went to one of her hair shows, and it's really neat. Like you can, like, buy like books that show you how to. It was
all kinds of
interesting.
braids.
and everything. Same
Yeah.
way up in Chicago
Braids
at
now.
the hair shows up there at what's the name of the place in Chicago?
Let's see.
That whole big hotel there.
Can't think of the hotel.
Peachtree Plaza.
But they have hair shows. We used to have to go to seminars and things when we were
Well, now they're making the beauty operators go back now.
Yeah.
school. I heard they were.
Can you, I guess, explain the difference? A barber is one who's licensed to cut hair, and a beauty shop would be.
At one time when we first started, women couldn't come to the shop. Go to a barber shop to get any work done.
Okay.
But in the later years, they started to come. Now you can go. Beauticians are cutting men's hair.
Right.
Did he
And
have to
braiding
go?
it.
Yeah, he had to
Oh,
go.
I thought I heard him say he had to go and get hard here.
He's talk to L. Young.
John.
Could you get out the driveway?
Yeah.
Right behind you.
Yeah, he'll be okay.
What were we talking? Oh, as far as going into the barbershop and now you can get your hair done. Well, a lot of places now are, one side could be a barbershop, and the other side is a
Beauty shop. That's the way our place is.
Yeah.
It was a double. And years ago, the one side where the barbershop was a barbershop.
Uh-huh.
But the other side, him and his wife lived in. And so we made that in the late years a beauty shop. But it used to be for Ball State students.
Oh, really?
Blacks, Ball State students
Right.
rented from there and commuted back and forth too.
Now a lot of guys are getting their hair braided, so they're
Yeah.
going to beauty salons.
Yeah, my grandson gets his hair braided.
My brother's trying to do that. You need to cut it off.
How do you feel? I guess we kind of discussed that. I have one question.
You were saying that your son only works part-time. Why does he work just part-time instead of full-time?
I tell you what, when you go to the barber shop, I'm going to let him tell his story. See, because he's grown and he knows, why he does. You can get better the truth and information from him. I don't want to say something and then he'll read the results and then he'll say, well, my mom didn't know this and she didn't know that.
Is there any way we can contact him so that he knows if we were going to come?
His home phone is 74, I forget.
Right out there by the college, right there.
It's on Tilson. He lives on Tilson.
And what's his first name?
Carl Jr.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, then I guess I can ask this question in a more generalized way so that you don't feel like you're saying bad things about your son or whatever. But do you generally feel like the work ethic of basically kids nowadays is much less, not as
Like they
why
don't
can't I think
work
of
as
the words to
more
say?
as they did
That-
back then?
Do you think you work harder than kids are today?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Because our hours were 8 o'clock
8 till
of the
6.
morning, and it wasn't 5 after 8.
8.
It was 8
Oh, yeah,
until 6.
sometimes I didn't get out 2 or 3 hours after it closed.
And then on a weekend, he didn't come home for lunch. I delivered his lunch, and he would sit and eat it in the barbershop.
Was it by appointment or walk-ins?
Walk-ins.
Walk-in.
Just how it is
I
now.
never did.
And we waited on customers.
Right.
See, sometimes young people will leave if they're not busy.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. We waited. People knew that we would be open from that time to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Are there, speaking of young people, are there a lot of people, as far as kids, not just young people, but kids like in high school that are working part-time jobs? It's a lot more now.
I think there's a lot more now, you young people, if they can get a job, than it was when we was coming up. Because, see, we couldn't get a job.
They're getting jobs like all in the mall, different places,
Right.
and eating places and all. And
See, we couldn't get a job in the stores.
Do you think, I know I had part-time jobs, and like I said before, my mom was a single mother, so it was to help out.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like I wasn't paying bills or anything. Like maybe they, like Hurley was working in the morning, but that was going towards the family income. Like
Right.
now, I work for myself as far as paying for my extracurricular activities, not to pay like for say my mom's
Help your mother.
light bill or something, right?
I guess Hurley, well, I understood he had to work because his dad passed away.
Right.
That's right. And I didn't realize we were going to school the same time, and I didn't realize that Hurley was working in a factory. Like he said, get off at 2 or went in at
2:30
and got off at 10.
and went
Look
to
how many
school.
hours he
My
was
dad got a
working.
divorce, and so I just picked up the slack. I had to.
Mm-hmm.
But look what type of man he is. That made a man out of him.
Right.
Made him independent. Same with my husband. I have been married 54 years. I have never paid a house note, a gas bill, or a light bill. I didn't. We started out with no charge plates, no credit. Like when it comes. Only thing we talked over big things like a car, house, but we didn't have a clothing bill. And whatever we were going to do, we talked it over first.
Mm-hmm. So you think by, like, the way our work ethics are now, young people won't be as of a man as you are? Maybe? I don't know how to word that.
You took more responsibility as when you were a child, and do you think our youth today are more based on maybe getting the in look and getting those clothes and not being as responsible and taking out credit? And
I find young people,
There might be some
if you talk to a young man, he wants a woman. If he's educated, he wants to educate a woman.
Right,
He wants a woman to contribute to the household.
right.
My husband, when we got married, I didn't have to work. But I settled for what he had to give me
Mm-hmm.
for 10 years. One instance, though, I took him washing and ironings. And I had so many of them that I had to hire a girl to help me iron. That's when we first got married. I've always been the type of woman, I wasn't too much of a mother that, like my daughter does now, with her 5 kids. They have parties. The 11-year-old just had a party, birthday party, 2 of them. She had one the first day, and then since school was out today, she invited the school kids. So I didn't do that. I didn't, in the kitchen, when I cooked, I didn't want my daughter in there trying to cook the same time I was. Because I always said, I want you to make a mess. I don't want you to do this. I don't want you to do that.
Right.
I didn't have the patience.
All right.
Have you heard of Ray Crow? It was over at Addicts. Ray Crow was a coach. He's retired now.
I'm not familiar with him.
He was a black teacher. But I don't blame the young people. This is black or white. They don't have to work as hard as people did years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they can get more credit. You go downtown and get a car with no money down now. You get a house with hardly no money down. Well, see, we couldn't do those things. $6,500 money I had to pay down on this house.
6,500.
Yeah. And that was 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You had to save a long time Get 6,000.
Yeah.
That's
That's a
still
lot.
quite a bit of money to be putting down on a house.
But see, the payments was only $138 a month.
Mm-hmm. See, now people now are paying what a month? $400, $500, $600 a month
Yeah.
for a house. See, I paid $138 a month. For
Some people are
14
paying
or 15 years.
$400 for an apartment, let alone a house.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm paying more than $400 for an apartment. Well, between my roommate and I, we're paying $725 a month.
Like
A piece?
$1,400 for a month.
I pay $375 and she pays $350 a month plus utilities.
Really?
Plus utilities.
I
Wow.
pay $239 for my
Pretty close to the campus, huh?
Yeah,
We had a house across the campus on Rex Street. It was 812 Rex, and we rented to architect students. And all we got out of it was $100 a month out of each one. We had 4, and we had to pay all the utilities.
really.
And they were paying $100 a piece a month. But it paid. I tell you how we got that house, because no blacks was living in that area.
Mm-hmm.
There was a white school teacher named Mrs. Adelphia Post, and she taught school in the black district, Whiteley, Longfellow.
Mm-hmm.
And she taught the kids younger than me in my family, and she knew my dad. And she wanted to sell this house because they were retired and was going to go to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So she was asking, I think $6,000 down, wasn't she? Well, anyway, we got it for 4, right? 4,000 down,
Something like that.
and I think it cost 16,000.
She knocked off a couple thousand.
Uh-huh.
I think she let me have it for 4.
And the man at the bank, I never will forget this, and his name is
Fat
Fatsinger.
Singer.
Me being a woman, went down to the bank, and being black, he didn't ask no questions. I told him about the house and the address, and that we would like to buy it. And he just filled out some papers and let us, make a loan for us. Now that's the kind of business. Now that was a white man that was looking for business. And because we had the money, he was going to see to it that we got the loan.
Mm-hmm. That's the type of business
30
that
years later, he just sold this here apartment to this here school teacher here next door to us, young man. And he come over and shook her hand and everything. He remembers. He's over at Delta School there.
But for $4,000 for that house, it paid for itself.
Oh, 14,000.
$14,000
Yeah.
is what we paid for. College students, it was an investment.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we got ready to sell it, we was able to get our money back and more.
I couldn't go over and do no more work on it, so I said
Then we got older, and we just couldn't take care of it.
Uh-huh. So you sold it. Is there, you're talking about, you mentioned being a female, and we were talking about the whole factory jobs and everything. Is it harder or is it the same, not by race but by gender, to get a job? Is it harder to be not only black but to be a female to get a job in Muncie now?
I don't know how to answer that because, see, it's 10 years since I've been in business to know what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
But
See, they get in there, women get in there, like her sister's been in Warner Gear for almost
close
30
to 30 years
Where does your sister work?
at Warner Gear.
Morning.
That's a factory.
Warner Gear.
Mm-hmm.
Could we speak with your sister since she's a factory?
Yeah.
You want her telephone number?
Yeah, she has a pen.
Her
on
name
already.
is Jesusa, Jesusa Pryor.
That is so neat, Jesusa.
That's pretty neat.
Jesusa.
I'll give you her. Now she's the one that's got the boy that's an engineer, one of them, and the other one's a lieutenant.
Okay.
Okay. But she
And
lives
her
in
husband
Muncie?
works at the Chevrolet too.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Yeah, her husband works at Chevrolet, but he's been out there quite a while too. They don't live too far.
Her number.
Okay.
When did you guys own this house over on Rex Street?
Let's see, My son, what year was that?
60 to 70.
Was it 69?
69 to 79, 89. 20 years.
When did we sell it? Oh, that it fell. I lost.
I'll get it. I think it was about 1989.
89, and we bought it in
About 69.
69, around 69.
Around there.
It's so hard to find good houses around campus anymore. There are so many slumlords who, you know, you pay. You maybe pay. Well, some of them you pay a lot of money, and they never come out. You call them. You know, you have problems. They won't come out. But generally, the ones that you can get pretty cheap, you'll never ever get them to come out.
We tried to keep our house up. It had hardwood floors up on the first floor. I mean, on the floor, main floor, just one floor, but in the basement. And one time they had a big party over there, and someone in the neighborhood called us, and we went over there, and they had beer, kegs of beer, and the floor was just full of beer.
Oh.
Just full.
Kegs of beer in tubs and all.
Yeah.
And the basement was full.
Yeah.
Upstairs.
But not many times that happened.
And they was having a
So
ball.
we learned that kids that were going to architect school, they didn't party as much because they had to study.
Yeah.
So that's who we started renting to them. But other than that,
See, they wouldn't party, but just when they come back to school or special occasion, they had it set up at night, and the neighbors just called me, told me, said, well, if you don't get over here and quiet them down, says, well, we're going to call the police on them. So I didn't have to tell them but one time.
Yeah.
And they all left, but they had black and white students in there. They had that house just, those guys was drinking.
Can I ask a question that is completely off of business?
Yeah.
Now, your father is Mexican, correct?
Right.
Was that any different being raised
Yes.
in Muncie,
Yes.
half Mexican? Do you know Spanish by any chance?
No.
Did he teach it?
His mother wrote in Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't teach us Spanish.
Really?
And then he married my mother. He was 7 years older than my mother. He was 22 or 21, 22, and she was only 15.
When they got married?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's still living.
My mother's 91 years old. So sometime if you want to talk to her,
That'd be fabulous.
I will get in contact and I'll have her here, and you can come back and talk to her, because she had 15 kids and they were all born at home.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't go to the hospital with any of us,
Yeah, my grandma was born at home.
and she was a hard worker. She did domestic work at times. My daddy was a mechanic, and when we first started out as a kid, we only lived in a 2-room house, and he built the house.
Mm-hmm.
And like the houses down south where they're on
snakes.
cement,
right.
on cement blocks.
Yeah.
Well, I remember that house at one time just was sitting on cement blocks and didn't have a foundation. And I was a girl got mad at me at school, and I was going to grade school, and she said something about that house sitting on sticks. But one thing about my father, he taught us how to work. I would have to hold the light for him. I had a brother that was a couple of years younger than me that had to help him on cars, and he'd hold the light for him while he worked on cars in the yard.
Uh-huh.
And they added another part to the house that was just like a cover, a shelter. Didn't have any sides.
Patio.
And then he would drive the cars there and had a workbench on the side of the house where he did cars at night.
Oh, kind of like a carport.
Yeah, something like a carport. And we had a well out on the side of the house. We had to get water, and now that's where we lived. And I remember the WPA workers putting the sewer in front of the houses.
You didn't have bathtubs in the house then.
Mm-mm.
You had tin tubs.
Had
You
government toilets.
Government toilets.
On the outside, they made everybody get a government toilet during that
Come
time.
on and inspect them.
So in 1941, and I remember living there, and my daddy got a letter through the mail that his mother passed. And that's when he went into the service. That's about in 41. Then my daddy went overseas to Hawaii and came back with the idea of putting a bus up on the corner where he put our barber shop, where that building is standing there. Mm-hmm. He bought the lot and he put a city bus there, and we sold hot dogs and hamburgers out of it.
Oh, wow.
And he put us to work, his kids and my mother.
Okay.
And then eventually he put the two buses together. We had a little lunch counter in between, with the two buses hooked together, and we would sell sandwiches and pop. And then black kids didn't have any basement with a billy club. But he taught us how to work. And keep us together, knowing what we were. See, we weren't allowed to bring kids home from school and say play after school. Mm-hmm. We had to work. He said, fine. He said you played all day in school, so you don't play when you come home.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Is that how you felt?
That's how I felt when I raised my kids.
Mm-hmm.
No, is that how you felt when you were a kid?
What?
That you got to play all day while you were at school, and then you came home and it was time to work, or did you feel like...
Like, did you agree with him?
I didn't agree. No, I didn't agree. I felt like that I wasn't like other kids,
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't bring your friend home and to play. Only time I got to go someplace was, like I said, on Sunday with this girl, Rosemary. And I would go to her house, to that mansion right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that on the second floor, it was a playroom, toys, full of toys. That mansion there, a whole second floor, or whatever it was, third floor, nothing but toys.
Oh, that was fun. Was it, I'm sorry guys, but I'm just asking out of curiosity. But like, back in the day, I guess, if I could say that, back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
when you were growing up, as far as like interracial marriages or interracial dating, was that looked down upon because he was Mexican?
Yes, I tell you what happened. My dad, they used to call him Mexican John. And the black kids too.
Yeah, that's because I figured it would come from
the
both
black
sides.
kids, because I was sort of fair color.
Right.
And I had long hair. My hair used to hang down back in braids. There's a picture of my graduation up there. Picture.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to get at. I didn't want to
see. They resented the fact that that's me and that's my husband. Here's a graduation picture. They resented the fact of my color, and I had little run-ins a little bit with them, but
because that's just like
I used to take up for my brother
Uh-huh.
a little, and I've always been the type of person that you don't run over me.
Right.
No, I can stand my ground, and I'll tell you what happened to him on my father's side. We grew up not knowing my father's relation. They didn't come around. But my daddy went home every year, maybe twice a year.
Where when you say home,
Texas.
Texas?
Texas. He went home, and in 41 his mother died. So I used to hear him cry, being homesick.
Mm-hmm.
And that would make me cry, because I was my daddy's girl.
Right.
And to me, growing up as a kid, I always felt like my daddy went overboard of trying to win friendship.
Mm-hmm.
He used to drink beer and go to the beer tavern, or he'd drink beer, and maybe a friend would come to the house, and he always would say, sometimes when he came in late, he would say, get up and sing, or play the piano, and he always wanted us to be, showing off, that's what I'd say. And so
his ways weren't like blacks' ways.
No.
Mexicans.
Right.
Because they're altogether different.
Oh yeah, they're all together different. But I tell
We've
you,
been to Texas.
when we were little, we had neighbors that he'd go and say, see if Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so needed you to go to the store. And I'd go in a neighborhood sometime and get a job to mop. I remember I used to mop, or get on my hands and knees and mop the floor.
Uh-huh.
For these people, they give me 25 cents, 50 cents or something like that. Or maybe if they had anything used, they'd give it to me. That's how I made a little extra money.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was just about 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
Working. They were neighbors of ours.
Mm-hmm.
They knew they knew the Burgers kids. And my daddy would only have to whistle. He didn't have to holler our names or anything. We knew what that was. We'd come running. Wherever we was at. All he would have to do is go outside the door and whistle.
You never went to Texas with the other kids?
Not because I was out then.
Yeah.
And when for years he didn't take them to Texas until they got older. Then he did take 1 or 2 of them to Texas. But my daddy was killed 20-some years before the family, his family knew it. And the only way we knew it, there was a white gas man in Whiteley. And he came to our shop and said that over the air he heard that if anybody knew the Vargas family, to get in touch with them and call the radio station. And so I was busy working, and I told my sister, and she went and called.
How was he killed?
In an automobile accident. That was in 1957. And what year was it that they...
3 of your sisters went, 3 of y'all went
Yeah,
to
I went,
Texas.
and Vita went, and Nita.
Went to Texas, flew down to see his sister.
Mm-hmm. She was still living.
She was still living.
Mm-hmm. And she only lived... She said that she told her kids, she had 5 girls, and she wanted to know if her brother, her little brother, was dead or alive. And she only lived about a month after we met her. I had never seen her before, but she favored my dad a lot. And now we correspond with each other.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to ask.
I went down to Texas
but my dad said that when he went down there, they acted sort of funny with his kids. And so he would just go in and talk to them for a little while and then leave.
They acted funny because his kids were biracial?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's on both sides then?
Yeah, both sides.
Some of them are married.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mixed race now.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
One of her sons married a black girl.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Did any of your children, this kind of subject, have problems ever, like, growing up, getting jobs because they're black or at school or anything?
Now, my sister ran into a problem one year. I think it was a Spanish class that went somewhere on the bus, and she couldn't stay in the motel, same as the kids. And she cried, and I'd like for her to tell that story. Anita, her name is Anita Smith, and she lives in Indianapolis.
Oh,
You
really?
live in Indianapolis. Hey, you may tell her who I am,
Okay.
and you can get that information.
Okay.
Okay. Tell her who you are, what you're doing, and she's my sister, and tell her my name.
Okay.
Let's see.
They're out by the pyramid.
Yeah.
Out there
Oh, I passed that on my way home. Around 71st Street?
Yeah.
She
Or
lives-
Keystone?
71st.
Or Keystone?
Pyramid out to 86th Street.
Yeah.
Okay. F. Smith.
He's a General Motors worker. Now, he worked up 2 ranks as a black man.
That's
He
exactly.
started out in the factory and worked himself on up to...
Let me. I have the
Was he superintendent when he just retired?
I don't know. He had a pretty good job.
That's what my dad, he started real low and he worked his way up through GM. I don't know exactly what his position is called, but something important. Because he doesn't really have much time for me
I know
anymore.
one thing, you can't, no one's going to solve the world's problems, but, one thing you can, if you want to work hard and and have a few things in life, I said, well, I want college education. I want
It's,
to work hard,
Anita Smith.
get an automobile, get a house, get a few clothes, go on vacation every
3
year. It's been good to me.
And she's up there
But,
in Indianapolis.
some people say, oh no, you could have, well, I had problems getting jobs down in Connersville. I had jobs asking for jobs in the factories here, but I didn't pay no attention because I went ahead and got to barber school and after that.
You know, excuse me. I didn't mean to cut him off. But I tell you another thing too, that I don't work very well with let's see what organizations, because I feel free to talk, and this is what sort of turned me off on things like this. I was elected to be on a board of the YWCA, and I'll look and see if I got the paper. Mm-hmm. And you know, they asked. I was on the voting board. See, they have a voting board, and then they had an executive board. And I didn't know too much about organizations like this because I never been on one, and we weren't the type of people that got in clubs and vote. You vote this way, and we didn't. I didn't know anything about it. So there was some black girls that were up in the that lived there at the Y, and they would, because they knew me, they would come with some problems, and this girl was sort of mentally, and she called me one morning at 7 o'clock in the morning screaming and saying that somebody put something on the outside of her door and they took it off and just complaining, you know. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to take it to the board that we was on. And so somehow or another, the director, they were wanting to get rid of me, in other words. But they weren't man or woman enough to say, well, Dolores, you're not supposed to do this. This is our job. Right. But I'm going to tell you what they did, and this is what made me mad. We had a board meeting, and during this board meeting, the director said that you called my mother a liar. And the only thing that I could say, it upset me, shocked me so badly, that I said, I will put my hand on the Bible that I didn't say anything to your mother. But this was to get me off of the board. And there was 3 blacks, me and 2 more.
That were on the board?
That was on the board. Okay. I said to myself, this is not for me. When I work and try to get memberships, when I donate, and I'm not getting paid to do this, but I'm taking it to heart of trying to do. See, because I'm not the type of person, I'm not the type of black person that just, yes, yes. If I feel that something's not right, I'll say what I got to say.
That's exactly how I am.
Okay, now, when she said that, you know what I had in my mind? I'm going to fix you for the next person, for the next black person that you try to do this to. I wrote to the New York, and I'm going to see if I get the paper to back this up. And each member that was on that board, I gave them the paper that I was going to resign because of the ideas that they had for blacks. And I did, and that was in 1994.
Very good.
Wow, that was...
I cannot stand, if you want me to do something, I'll go hog wild and doing my best. And if I say I'm going to do it, I stick to the word, I do it. So don't try to blackball me.
Right.
And I find that in Muncie, I had a girl, this is my relation, and she worked right down here at the MCL. Now, I may be wrong in saying this, but she was sort of big. She had false hair on her head. Some little things that, and dingling down, and I thought maybe that they all should pull their hair back or wear a hairnet. Okay, they had her serving coffee in where you sit.
Right.
Okay, I don't know what else. She may have come in late. I don't know for sure. Because one day we were sitting in there eating, and she did come a little about 5 or 10 minutes late. But I see that when they want to get rid of you nowadays, they will cut your hours down. Instead of saying, I fire you, or you're not doing such a thing. You're not keeping up with what you're supposed to. You're not teaching a young person anything when you just let them go like that.
Give them 1 day
I
of work.
totally.
And then they'll
That
quit.
really irks me. They do that at my job. I think, not to interrupt into your story, but I have very strong feelings about this. You know, there are people at my job that don't do their job. But, and you know, I think as a manager, it's your job to say to this person, you know, you're not working up to standard.
Right.
We're going to have to cut your hours, you know, so you know what's happening. They never, ever say anything to you. They'll cut your hours, and you can go into them and say, you know, I don't understand why my hours got cut, and they'll say something like, well, we just don't have enough hours this week.
Excuse.
You know,
you're not teaching young people anything.
I feel like if I'm not doing things right,
Tell
I
me.
deserve to know. You
Right.
know,
Well, that's the new method
maybe
of
I'll
getting
work
rid of them
harder
now.
Right.
because maybe I don't know what you expect from
Right.
me. You know.
And then the next job you get, you know how to handle it. You know, you do better. So that's the downfall for the young people. And maybe that's the way the world is not doing up to potential.
Well, that's why in the young people, you see them the job turnovers are fast. They're working here this week. They're there the next week. They're someplace else the next week. See, they don't keep them very long.
I don't know if this goes on in Muncie because I don't live here, but my brother's had a lot of jobs, and I've noticed that he's had jobs like he worked at a hotel, and he was a busboy, I guess that's what they call it. And to me, there's not direct supervision. There would be like somebody who's just a little above him or something. And I know that my brother being and I know this is this is my opinion, him being the black boy, he was doing the dirty work. Like you have the white kids that right. And I mean, and I see that in other races too, like Hispanic races. If you could say that, they're doing the dirty work nowadays. It used to be the black people doing it now, but now I see Mexicans to be specific.
Because in my day, the Mexicans, only jobs that they got, if they were picking cotton down in Texas, they'd come up here to the north and pick cherries, or things like that, you know. And
go through here.
So,
but now, you see the Mexicans are taking over in Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's the fastest growing minority population in the country right now.
Where blacks are getting so, they don't want those kind of jobs. If you tell a black now, well, go to McDonald's and get a job, they don't want that.
My
What
brother
they're doing with
learned.
the blacks, though, don't you?
I'm sorry?
The blacks are bringing the dope into the communities and have them peddling dope, and they're ended up in penitentiary. That's why so many of them's in penitentiary right now. They're making it a fast dollar because some of the young boys told me, said, Carl said, you stand here, you were working at 8 o'clock when I went past here, and you were still at 6 o'clock. So I can make as much in 1 hour as you done made all day. Well, that's the truth.
Is there a large drug problem in Muncie?
Oh, everywhere.
I tell you, I don't
That's
know
such an
whether,
totally different
in our day it was drinking wine.
Right.
On a corner. Go to the whiskey store and get a bottle of wine. But now it's drugs. Now whether there's, maybe it's reefer smoking?
Oh,
It's beyond that now. It's crack and
Hard stuff
cocaine.
now.
I would have to say, at least around the college, the biggest thing would have to be ecstasy.
Well, that I don't think the blacks are. They might be doing that, but I think it's
I don't know any
more crack or something.
I don't know. Yeah.
Is that a pill?
What? Yeah.
Ecstasy, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a pill.
It's a pill combined from household cleaners. It's
Oh,
basically
yeah.
just
Well, I don't think they do that. I
They're
think
past
there's
that now.
crack, isn't it? Crack,
cocaine.
cocaine.
The black want crack.
That's what's in the predominantly inner city
Inner-city,
black communities.
Well, I think it's along here in Muncie too. And that's for the kids that don't have a job and don't want a job, and they get hooked onto that. And then when you get your life mixed up with, like in your high school, and you get in with a crowd of being an adult when you're not an adult.
You're a young black person and can't get a job. And here comes some of the older guys along and say, hey,
listen, you know you ready for your pie?
I'll pass this on to you. You know, you can make so much money. Well, that's why they take a chance, because they're desperate for money.
That makes me really sad.
It does me too. Drugs are affecting so many people. Drugs are very bad.
See, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna work in the inner cities and help with. But I can't. I don't think I have the skills or the job to just go and attack a drug problem. So I'm gonna go to the education. And as far as, because I know a lot of inner city schools don't have the money or the proper education that they should be getting, as like I did going to a school in the suburbs, you know. So that's what I mean. Let's start there, I guess.
Right. How many children did your mother raise?
3.
3. By herself?
By herself. She did well.
Did she get a good factory job or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's why we moved to Indianapolis. That's what she's doing now. And she wishes that she could have went to school, but my dad moved, so she couldn't.
What part of town did y'all live on?
We used to live in Greencastle.
You want ice cream on yours?
Yeah, it's where DePaul University is. It's a predominantly white town.
Greencastle, that's going down towards Louisville.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That's where I was born and raised until high school.
Greencastle. Not too many blacks in Greencastle.
No. And probably a lot of them now are from the university, from DePaul.
See, I'm born and raised in Connersville. There's about 500 blacks in Connersville, so not too many. But now there's more, you know.
Yeah.
After all, I've been out there 50 years.
There's still not many in Greencastle. And a lot of them, like, their parents, they're there because their parents have a job at the university.
And in the 40s,
So.
he wrote that one.
Now, just like my sister, she's school teacher and her husband. She would tell you what, Carl had the same opportunity I had to go to school. No, I did in a way, if I would have thought not about helping my mother. But I got out there and went to work, you know, so. But it was my fault. I had the same opportunity she had. But didn't work hard enough, study hard enough. Worked hard, but didn't study hard. So, but I don't regret it. I got a brother that went in the Army, stayed 20 years, got out and went to college in Washington, D.C. still. Now he's went in the Food and Drug Administration, and now he's done retired from that. He's double dipping, 2 checks coming in a month.
Wow.
But, and I got a sister up here in Fort Wayne in the West Home. She never did do anything to stay around and help my mother. And never got married. 60-some years old now, and in a rest home. And got to bed, she couldn't walk.
I have family in Anderson on my dad's side.
In Anderson. What's the last name?
Moore.
Moore?
Thank you.
Here, young lady. Oh, I forgot. You said you didn't like apples. But do you eat cooked apples? Apples?
Well, I don't like cooked apples, but I like the crust part. Can I eat that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Can I get your napkin?
Thank you.
What are you guys talking about?
His sister and like different opportunities that his siblings have done. Okay. And then we were talking about my family that lives in Anderson. My dad's sister, matter of fact, she has her own beauty salon in Anderson.
What's her name?
Her name is Mazine Moore.
Oh.
Where's she at?
She's in Anderson.
In Anderson.
She has a beauty salon.
What street is she?
I'm not familiar. I'm not very
okay.
close to my dad's family, but I'm trying to get closer to him, I guess, since I live 20 minutes away. But.
So you all have to let me know about the Edwards girl working for Evie Ball.
Yeah.
And then I want to look and see if I can find about my dad's. Oh, I'm going to show you the title of that man.
In other words, after y'all get all the information on each project they're going to have, then, well, still, I mean, you're just talking now, but and gathering information too. But
see, this is what he wrote. The title was Our Neighborhood
By Dick Green.
by Dick Green.
I guess that
What year do you think that was?
I think it was in
professors
around
all get
19.
together, won't they, decide what to use.
43,
what not to
44.
use,
I think that's our
I'll try
job.
to look it up.
Our job is
And
to decide what
which
we're going to
ones
use
and
and what,
not use.
and we have to come. Our chapter is 15 pages. Is what we have to condense it
How
into.
many?
15.
15 pages.
Not much.
But yeah, we have to. I guess like right now we're just trying to identify key issues to like.
Basically, get some key issues and topics, I guess you want to say, either maybe past and present, that the African American community of Muncie is facing or has faced.
And that
Okay.
they want to be heard. Like
Yeah.
what issues do they want to get into this book? Because I think when you decide, you know, what certain issues and when people read it, other people may come and try to, you know, I guess.
So if you guys, tonight, you know, we've gotten some great ideas from you guys and some great contacts, but if you think of anything else, you know, we'll be in touch with you, of course, again, but in the next day or two, if you just something pops into your mind about an issue that you think would be great to talk about, or any other people that we could get in contact with, that'd be great. Because that's what we want to do, is basically like interviewing your sister and some other people that you guys have directed us to, talk to them, get their stories, kind of start bringing stuff together and getting the, I guess, the main points that we need to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So
See, in the day my mother, her day, she's 91, and I know another lady that used to work for white people, and I don't know if they're the boss or who. Her name is Cooper. Her last name's Cooper, and she lives on Centennial.
Mhm.
Now, Hurley Goodall knows more about Freddie, and his wife knows more about that lady than I do. But she might be willing to tell some of the things that she had to do in order to make a living.
You keep, like when you're mentioning when they work for a white person, you mentioned the balls. Did the majority people work for the balls?
A lot of
Because I know they were prominent.
A
See, they had
lot of
factory.
blacks.
It was a factory, Ball's factory.
Uh-huh.
But they worked in the home of balls.
This is a random question, but you may not know the answer to it. Did the balls have a dishwasher?
Oh, the dishwasher?
Like a
like we have today?
dishwasher, yeah.
Well, when I used to go to that kitchen, I didn't see a dishwasher, but they may have had.
My grandma.
They probably did. They
Well,
had a
my
dishwasher.
grandma always tells me the same story all the time. But she used to work for this really rich family back during the Depression, and she said that they had a dishwasher, but she always had to wash the dishes first with soap and water, and the lady of the house always knew if you didn't wash the dishes, and she'd get in so much trouble if she didn't wash the dishes before she put them in the dishwasher. And she could never understand why she had to wash the dishes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but 9 times out of 10, they probably did have to wash them by hand.
Get them clean.
And you know, this woman
Works on these.
that I'm talking about, Rosemary's mother, she was blind, and they let her cook.
Really?
She did the cooking, and she can tell you how many years she worked there, and her father was a chauffeur.
wow, that's really neat.
And I don't know whether maybe she went blind on the job. You know, they just kept her doing, but she worked. I mean, she did the cooking.
What do you think are the most successful avenues for African Americans to take these days for professional, like for jobs?
To make money, engineering.
Engineering, really?
Yes. Now that's a field that if a black took engineering, they would be making big money, and
I think that's for all races.
be a doctor, a lawyer. But being a school teacher is good too, because a woman may not want to work and take care of her children, be off for so many months.
Mm-hmm. See, I'm going into communication.
If she had a husband, he could pick up the slack, being a teacher.
Yeah.
See, just like I mentioned, a couple of doctors, that's years ago, well, all these new doctors, like Dr. Dinwiddie, Westmoreland, and all the rest of the ones have drifted into Muncie. Well, I don't even know. In other words,
Dr. Westmoreland is my doctor.
more and more people have come into Muncie
Really?
in the last few years. Yeah, some leave, but some come.
Do they have? I'm sorry. We were talking about doctors. Do they have? Do a lot of these jobs that African Americans or the Black community, the jobs that they get, do they offer them good benefits as far as insurance goes? The factory jobs, I know.
Factories do.
Yeah.
Hmm. And I imagine the doctors and things, they're capable of, if they don't have it, they're capable of getting it.
They get their own plan, like Dr. Smith introduced me to a life insurance policy 30-some years ago for $10,000. It's supposed to be enough to bury you, but it's a dividends, and I've been drawing in the 30 years off of it about 3 different.
Down.
Put a new shower back in there. Just dividends would mount up every year.
Well, you don't think you would have found that without?
No.
Well, even if Banker's Life, it's white out of Chicago. If it didn't have someone interested in you come around and introduce you to the plan, well, you wouldn't.
You'd never know it.
You'd never know it.
Do the majority of the people of the Black community, would they rather go to a Black doctor? Because I didn't have the opportunity to go.
I had white doctors in my hometown, Connersville.
Yeah, when I lived in Greencastle, I had a doctor. But just to give an example, my cousin, this is a good example. My cousin, one of my cousins, he's not my blood cousin, but he's a little white boy. Mm-hmm. And then my other cousin, he's Black. Mm-hmm. And they both went to the same doctor. My cousin, his name's Timothy, he's Black. He had, they diagnosed him with just muscle spasms and sent him home. Well, my aunt, she didn't feel comfortable with that diagnosis, so she sent him to Riley, where he had a cyst that was paralyzing him. It wasn't muscle spasm, he was getting paralyzed by the cyst growing. And so being in Riley, which is in Indianapolis, they got him help and everything that he needed. My other cousin, he's white, he was diagnosed with pneumonia. But they were like, well, we're not real sure. We don't really have the practice like Riley Hospital does. And so they told my uncle's girlfriend that they told her that she should take him to Riley just to double check. They didn't tell my aunt this, but they told her that. Well, because they were like, we're just not sure. We just don't have the technology that Riley does. So being that the doctor told her to send him to Riley, she went there. It turned out it was leukemia. So if my aunt, matter of fact, she was the first one to go to Riley, and she was the one who told my aunt that, maybe you should take him to Riley because that's what he told me. But he didn't tell her, the doctor didn't tell her that, but he told, her name's Carrie, she's white, he told her that she should take him to Riley. And so that's how, if she hadn't gone, and it was around the same time, my aunt would have never known. She would have thought it was just muscle spasms and putting Flexol on him when it was the cyst that was paralyzing him. So that's when my mom switched our doctor to an Indianapolis doctor, a Black doctor.
Are you from Greencastle?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. We lived in Greencastle until my mom started working in Cary or in Indianapolis, and so then I switched. We moved to Indianapolis.
Well, Greencastle doesn't have very many Blacks, do they?
No.
That's where Sissy's friend's from, down post office.
She's from Greenwood. She's from Greenwood. Greencastle is DePaul University.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where Hurley Goodall's son graduated from.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great school. DePaul is. It's not very diverse at all, but it's a good
Well, you
school.
can't be surprised about some of these doctors. I've had doctor friends, but they can't determine everything that's wrong with you.
Right. I just thought it was interesting.
Lots of it's guesswork. They're practicing.
You know, this was back in 55, 56. I had a white doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And he operated on both of my breasts and found out there were cysts. Okay, he made an appointment for me to be operated on,
Mm-hmm.
and he forgot the appointment once and was on a golf field. And I was laying up on the table. They had to get another doctor, Dr. Osborne,
Right.
and he operated on me.
Sugar was the first one.
Uh-huh.
He didn't show up.
He forgot. He said.
But you can't blame him for for not showing up, but you could blame him for not even for the operation, because it's exploratory. In other words, cut on you to find out if it's cancer or whether it's
Yeah, that's what my mom had to do that.
Benign.
just a lump or
Benign or malignant.
So
Do you feel like that was because you were black and he was white, or do you feel like that's just because he was
Irresponsible?
a bad doctor?
He was unresponsible. I don't believe that the color made any difference with him.
no.
Right.
I just felt like that he wasn't taking care of business.
Oh, the reason back in those days, the reason they cut on so many of them is they wanted to make that money.
Right.
Yeah.
But see, I have a relationship with this doctor. She's black, she's young, and she's interested.
Right.
She's from Indianapolis.
You can, if a doctor takes time out,
She's from
To ask you
she
questions.
practices in Indianapolis?
and it seems like that
She
they're
practices
interested.
in Indianapolis?
Here.
Well, I believe that's
Her
what I'm
mother,
looking for.
My
Now,
son lived up in Indianapolis, I think, but she drives
my
back and
experience
forth.
of life, I want somebody that I can talk to and sort of understand what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think good doctors are hard to find.
Well, I mean, even my old doctor in Greencastle, who wasn't familiar, until I moved, I was in high school when I switched doctors. Until I even, when I came to Indianapolis, matter of fact, this is just recently where I'm gonna soon have to be tested for sickle cell because of symptoms I have. But now my other doctor, he wouldn't be familiar with sickle cell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd think he would, but I think maybe that's just my personal opinion. But since it is predominant, a lot of African Americans have it, an African American doctor is going to be familiar with it.
Yes.
And so now I know that I'm going to get tested for it. I didn't even know what the symptoms were or anything like that. I mean, my doctor said my iron count's low, and that was one of the symptoms. And my nurse suggested that I start smoking because that raises your iron count. But I don't know. I just thought
It does?
that's what she
I
said.
thought it depleted your iron.
This is just showing her level of
Thinking.
her education. But that's just one certain aspect that.
But I think it's just like anything. I think a black person that is a doctor, they understand better when it comes to a black person, like high blood pressure.
Right. As
They
far as the type of
understand.
eating,
Uh-huh.
the foods that you eat, and even stuff like that is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to know, just certain things like that, which could lead up to high blood pressure
Mm-hmm.
or diabetes, for
Mhm.
instance,
Mm-hmm.
just by types of food. And that even goes on the other side too, with white people. I mean, white doctor may know more.
They might not understand it as well.
Right.
Because that's a black disease, right?
So,
Mm-hmm.
well, they're finding it now in South America and stuff, but
Gloria, this guy asked about our boy not working all the time. And Gloria was back here. And Gloria spoke up and said, he's got something wrong with his leg.
Oh yeah, he's a diabetic. My son's a diabetic.
He's got sugar.
Yeah.
And so I didn't say
He can't
anything.
stand on it.
So I didn't say anything.
They told him, well, he hasn't taken care of his health. So they told him that he should just stand maybe 4 hours on it. And my husband,
He told me to get off mine.
we retired in '92, and 3 months after we retired, he got sick. But the Lord was good to him because he hadn't been sick all these years
while
that
he
he
was
worked.
working.
So that's the reason why now I question the way we handle business and the way my son handles business. A young person would handle business. See, we put air conditioning in our barber shop of the business when we didn't have it here. That came first. All our lives have been in business. We felt our customers were first.
Mhm.
We catered to them.
That's not the same now. Because, I mean, like, I know when I can go get my hair done, and I'm sitting there for an hour before I get in the chair. And and I'm still paying the same as if I were going to you and you were on time.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because your hairdresser is spending time talking to the person who was before you?
No. It's a matter of her getting there to the shop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and that, a lot of it has to also deal with me being young too. She's older, and I'm young. She probably think I have nothing to do. She takes a lot of smoke breaks and everything.
See, that's the consideration that young people are giving business. Now, where my husband sometimes would not stop and eat at 12 o'clock because he felt like that person was next to get in the chair and they had something to do. But some people think, hey, my stomach, I'm hungry, I'm first.
Right.
So I think that's a lot to do with a person that's in business. Whether you want to build your business and think about your customers, or you're going to think about you come first.
I think customers have changed a frame of mind too, though. I think customers have gotten to be, I don't know, not that I lived back in the day or anything, but I think customers have.
It's silly.
I think that customers have gotten to be ruder because of the phrase "customers are always right." Because I've noticed.
Pet smart, right?
I've worked a lot of retail jobs, and customers will go out of their way and know that they're wrong, but they know that if they complain enough, you'll just give them whatever they want.
Well, I think that's a person that's looking for something for nothing.
I think there are a lot of people like that.
Yeah, I really think that's a person that's really trying to get over.
Never mind. That was about to be a dumb question. I was about to say as far as wages go, but that didn't compare. Never mind. Nothing. Because I was going to say that, like, a lot of the jobs that are available to young people now are, of course, are minimum wage, as opposed to a job that's, going to be somebody of an older age or something. But never mind. I can't go anywhere with that. Nothing. Anyways.
When you were parents and your children were, say, 10 years old or somewhere around there, what was your main focus for them at that point? What were you planning for their future?
Well, I always told my kids that I wanted them to learn and and be don't play in school. Learn as much as they could. And I dressed those kids for the winter. That's one thing. My husband took care of the kids, their clothing, their lunch money, and saw to it that they were adequate dressed because he didn't have those things like boots and snowsuits and gloves and hats.
And when you say that, you mean as far as like for the weather, not as far as going with the Joneses trying to.
No, for the weather.
Give them lessons.
No, we weren't the type of people that wanted to keep up with the Joneses.
Try to teach them do right and get some education, but they said one teacher said you can drive them, take them to the well, but you can't make them drink.
That's true. And when I worked, I took my money, like I bought a spinet piano for my daughter from a private individual that cost me $650 that I worked and paid for my own money. I gave her piano lessons, my boy trumpet lessons. I bought a horn for him, a trumpet. I wanted them to be in activities, like in sports, if he wanted to be in sports. My daughter was the head of a centralette at Central when she was in high school. She was more of aggressive. I think my boy played around a lot in the school, and it may be because I was sort of hard on him. Someone told me that they did something. I wouldn't take their word for it. I'd take the individual, the person, and then they'd get a whipping for it. And I remember one day there was a lady that used to walk up and down the street, and she said, that my daughter was making fun of her. And so I approached my daughter about it. And she said, "Oh, Mama, it wasn't me." And so I said, "The woman said that you had little bitty teeth." And my daughter had a row of little bitty teeth. And I knew she was telling the truth. So I wasn't the type of person that believed the kids, my kids. Oh, because I felt like the grown-ups wouldn't lie.
Sometimes they do.
But sometimes, you can't.
So you felt like education and the well-rounded was the best avenue for them?
Yes.
So, I'm sorry. Did you raise your kids to get their education, and did you, like, I guess, tell them to get certain, like, go to school for certain things to get out of Muncie? Were you trying to raise them to get out of Muncie, like, to a better
If they
place,
wanted to.
maybe?
If they wanted to. I didn't, because I felt like if you had the education, you could stay if you wanted to, and you'd see that you wasn't getting anywhere, you'd move on. I think sometimes in schools, you don't have the teachers. Now, if you were here and heard my sister-in-law talk to the Abby and Carrie about how the teachers pushed her. There weren't that many blacks in his hometown, Connersville, 50 miles from here. And there were several teachers that pushed her into doing, being active in classes and go forward. Now, at my school, in my day, it wasn't like that. With my teachers, the teachers I had. And coming from a big family, my dad wanted us to work. Well, there was no library after school. We didn't go to the library. I didn't even participate in the library at school. Because I don't think we had one in grade school. You just had books, in your room.
Say like Dr. Smith. They say he bought his boys tools.
No, that was...
or Dr. Smith. Because he wanted him to be a doctor.
Mrs. Finley.
Oh, Miss Finley.
She was a school teacher. And she said
that's why you teach your children when they're first born. You can't wait till they get 5 or 6 years old to start teaching them. You got to.
See, my daughter took her kids to the library at an early age and get books and bring them home. My daughter, she birthday parties for all the kids. She's got 5. That's the girl right up her. She's the oldest. She's the one I said going to Purdue. And this is her boy. This is the baby. This is her boy. This is the baby. She's 11 now. And this is the baby that she had that was born with an enlarged heart and an aneurysm on the brain. And she only lived 4 days. She had to take her off in the respirator. So
that was her 6th child? Or
yeah, that was her 6th.
Okay.
This one right here, her name is Margarita. She was 16 and a half, and she got a little fast. And so she decides that she wants to do what she wants to do. And she left home, and she's had whippings, and still she's unsatisfied being home. So
5 kids, but one
hello.
One got in fast lane.
I'm fine. How are you doing?
That's like
Well, that's
my
good.
mom's my brother. He's kind of out
Oh,
there,
you
I guess
did.
you could say. But I don't know if that has anything to do with it because my dad living away.
Not necessarily. Your dad could be a preacher. Stay if the boy wanted to be a drunkard, well, he'd be a drunkard.
That's very true.
Yep, that's true. But that's just his excuse,
So that
find
thing
anything.
said about, you're just like your dad.
Oh,
No, I wasn't like my dad.
27. Hold on, Dr. Reed.
27. Oh.
Not bad. We did all these things.
That's some good context.
Did you find your book? I thought it was over here. Now she done moved it. There she found it.
That's what I was thinking.
Like young, when you start out young in church, and your parents sometimes make you go when you don't want to go.
Right.
But you got it in the heart of wanting. You have that thirst of wanting to learn.
Right.
If I had it to do all over again, you people's age, marry someone that's the same yoke. I didn't hear that when I was
Yeah,
young.
that's what my mom taught me.
Yes.
Different yokes, they don't
Then
know.
if you have the same, you're wanting to go to the same place in the Word. You don't have that trouble of him not wanting to go. He don't know what he should be going for.
It's also hard raising your children.
Yeah,
Wait.
my mom.
Well, there's even in church, 5 preachers could be there, and they quote something from the Bible and want to see it this way, want to see it that way,
Mm-hmm.
and no, that's all in life. Everybody has their right of opinion, you know.
But the one,
But there's only one way. Just someone will speak up and say, "Well, now there's only one way, the Bible way." Well, that's true too. But
I think since my age, I had a need for the Lord. See, and I wasn't raised. I was raised to go to Sunday school. My parents didn't go church, and I knew how to pray to the Lord for certain things. But then I didn't know how to hold on to Him. See, I never knew when that I wanted to really make that commitment.
Right.
See, if you don't make that commitment, you're on and off, and you don't get strong in Him. If I were you young people, without God, you may think you're going someplace, but it's not there. You don't stay. When you learn about Him, you know when you're in trials and you're going through trials and you need Him, you know how to ask for forgiveness and get back up. When you don't know Him, you get down there and you wallow in it. I found that out. And the more, and things that used to aggravate me, it's not important.
Right.
I used to have a fear of a lot of things. And when you have the Lord on your side, He takes that fear away from you because you figure, I'm not going through, I can make it.
Yeah, fear isn't of the Lord. I know
That's
that.
the fears of the devil.
Reverend Jackson's a good preacher.
Yes.
Yes.
Is he going to have service? What's going on Monday?
Oh gosh, I know we have to
We're going to
Christ Temple, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's the preacher over at Christ?
We're going.
I'm not. Can I check for a second?
Here, you want me to kick your ball?
Oh, I'm sorry I didn't eat the apples.
That's all right.
I ate the
Christ
apples. It was
Temple.
really good.
Christ Temple. Christ Temple.
It was
That might
You
be-
have another
You go to
piece?
high
Oh
school.
no, I'm all right.
Have another piece?
Oh gosh,
I'm
it's
not
so
sure
good.
where it
I'm
is.
fine, thank you. No, thank you.
Here it goes. Okay, we are.
It was very good, thank you.
We're going to the Continental Breakfast celebration opening at First Merchants Bank, and Christ Temple on North Jefferson. Is that by the high school?
What
yeah,
time
that's by
is
the high
that?
school. That is at 7 p.m.
That's
Of a morning?
7 p. Yeah, in the evening.
Or at night?
Yeah.
At night.
At night?
There's a community advisor, the one that was on the juice and water diet when we had our first dinner. He's the bigger man, and he's singing in the choir.
Oh,
He said,
was it John Young L?
and he's very comical. It might be.
John L. Young?
Yeah, John.
Is
Is
Is it John L. Young or is it John Young L?
I thought it was John L.
he
Young.
used to work in movies?
I don't know. I just know.
No, he works.
Because they've been telling us his name is John
Maybe
Young
it
L.
is. Maybe it is.
Well, they could be telling us wrong.
No, I'm the one that might be wrong. But he's the head of the blackmail.
Yes,
Yes.
that's him.
That-
He's
he
in
was
the
at that
choir.
meeting. He was there Monday when we were there.
Oh, the heavy set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Well-
thinking about his dad.
I thought that they were going to have something at Jackson's church union.
I'm not sure. I can get
Well,
back
that's
at you.
okay because I'll see early Sunday at church and I'll ask him.
What church do you attend? You go to
Schaefer.
Schaefer?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I go to Schaefer.
Is it small? I wish I
Yeah,
would
it
have
is.
gone into the church. I think churches are really interesting.
I
I
do
like
too.
to see the insides of churches. When I
It
was a
is
kid,
small.
I went to a really small church. There were only like 5 families, probably.
Well,
church
that's about all of that. Yes, at our church too.
We don't have.
We might have one or two more.
We don't have. No.
Our
Oh,
church in
small.
Greencastle is pretty small. Well, actually, it's a lot larger during the school season because a lot of the black college students from DePaul attend our church because it's near
And John
campus.
Jefferson over in Indianapolis is good. He's got 3 churches.
Oh yeah. What are his? I can't even think of his church.
I got
His
the
three
name. I
churches.
got some of the literature in there.
Yeah.
Well, I got a sister-in-law that goes over there.
No,
My
Eastern-
daughter goes there.
Here it is, Eastern Star.
That's it. That's what I was about to say.
Power in the word. We've heard him before, and he's good of telling life as it like it is.
That's the church where I've only gone to Eastern Star a couple times, and that's where in our class we were talking about churches and that or was it at Schaefer Chapel when Jessica was talking about how they were all proud, like, well, I go to Eastern Star.
Oh, it was in
It was
class.
in class.
It was in class. That's the church. It's really big, and I mean, I don't really mind. I don't look at the building because I don't think church is the building. Church is within your heart, I think.
Right.
And so I don't look at that. I just look at the message, and if they can convey the message to me, if I get something out of it, then I think that it's okay.
Where they had the big congregation it was out there in that hangar
Oh,
on the west side.
yeah.
But now I've never been down the other places. We've got 2 other places. One down on 38th or something down. Then we've got 2 other places. I've seen
Can I
pictures
see
of it.
that flyer?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
Well, church is church.
Yeah.
Religion's religion. Everybody has their beliefs about religion too.
This is true.
But you know, the ones, the kids that participated in this program seem like you all know where you're going or you want to go.
Mhm.
And that's good at this age, you know, to know. Because sometimes you can get strung out there, like the 17-year-old I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
And she's thinks that she knows it all. And I think she's a little jealous of her sister up there. And she's taken academic classes, but she has fallen in her grades this last year.
Why is she jealous of her sister?
Because Iman is the type of girl that she moves on. She makes her mistakes, and her mother's whipped her for some things that she's done, but she's able to go on, you know, and maybe take advantage of that. And she's not a mouther. See, my daughter, she can't take a child that talks back.
Right.
And whatever she does, she makes her mistakes. She can get up and keep going. This one's a complainer, and then always talking about what she's not going to do and not going to take. And you don't do that with my daughter. And she's got 3 more, she said, behind her to show that if you want to do wrong, you don't do it here.
Mm-hmm.
I find a lot of parents are turning their heads on kids. You know, letting them do what they want to do to get along with them or make them stay home or make them go to school and push them, you know. But you can take the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink.
That's like you raise your children up to be high school age, and boys and some girls will go to high school, go to classes, they drink alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some people say, well, you can't be too hard on them, just get them back on the right track, you know. And some people get mad and want to whip them and all like that. Well, it just don't work for all kids. You just drive them deeper in the gutter, just doing different things, you know. Maybe not. It's a chance you take.
My boy used to he got to smoking when he was in high school. And so I would tell him, don't smoke, because we didn't smoke. And he had a little room upstairs there and didn't have a key to the door. He, I don't know what it was, a chain, I think, that
Yeah,
he
chain on it.
wrapped around the doorknob
Probably so.
and wanted to fasten itself in the room, you know, to smoke. And so I just, I couldn't handle it. And then when he got when he graduated, I said, either you're going to the Army, or you're going to get you a job, are you going to go to school? And so we just pushed him into barber school. He really didn't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
But he went on and got a diploma out of barber school. And then I thought maybe he might want to come back and work in the shop, because his dad was a barber. He didn't want that. So he went on in the Army. Then when he come out, then he's been sort of wild. He was on drugs for a while. And I always said, if you get arrested, don't call me. And when he was in the Army, I said, don't get to drinking beer and so forth, and then get homesick and want to call me on the telephone and reverse the charges. Because I won't, don't go there. So when he came back, he said, many a time I wanted to call home, but I remember your words. I'm glad.
Yeah.
And he's, and the girl's she's just been not that she's been perfect. Like I said, she got married and against our will, just jumped up and just married a boy that was in service. Ran off and married him. But she was able to go ahead and get her education on her own. And the things that we tried to tell her, I guess she remembered it and made it for herself. She gave me $500 and gave her dad $500 for Christmas with 5 kids. And she works 4 hours a day at the post office. She was hired in at that. She had a good job at Allison's, and she quit it.
Indianapolis too.
Yeah, and she subs sometimes, to help this girl that's going to school.